Jin-ho is sitting in his office. His office is large and formal. It contains a massive desk and a leather chair. The walls are blank. It's dark outside. His 3 assistants stand in front of the table. They are silent and waiting. Jin-ho looks at them. He speaks in a calm voice. I need 15 girls. Bring them here tomorrow afternoon. The assistants listen attentively. Girls should be different. Different looks, different faces. Find them everywhere. In restaurants, at universities, at art schools, everywhere. The first mate, named Kim, nods. Tell them it's an important meeting. Work for me. Personal work. Don't explain the details. Jin-ho pauses. He looks out the window at the city lights. They must be free. No connections. No problems with the law. I will choose one. The rest can go home. Kim nods again. We'll do everything, boss. Okay, go ahead, Jin-ho says. The assistants turn around and leave the office. Jin-ho is left alone. He leans back in his chair. He thinks about his son. The boy is 7 years old. His name is Yoon. He is difficult. He doesn't listen. He screams and cries. The nannies can't cope. Jin-ho is tired. He needs help. He needs a person in the house. A real person. Not just a pretty face. He wants to see real eyes, hear real words. He gives this order, 15 girls. Among them, he hopes to find the one who won't be afraid, the one who can understand his son. He closes his eyes. Tomorrow will be an important day. Mia lives in a small apartment. She's an artist. She paints and sells pictures. Sometimes she gives lessons to children. She doesn't have much money, but she manages. In the evening, a man comes to see her. He is dressed in a black suit. He is polite, but speaks clearly. Miss Mia, you are invited to an important meeting tomorrow at noon. This is a job offer from a highly respected person. He hands her a white envelope. Here's the address and time. They'll be waiting for you. Please be punctual. Mia takes the envelope. She is confused. What job? Who is this person? Everything will be explained on the spot. Goodbye. The man leaves. Mia opens the envelope. It says, Jin-ho Residence. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. Formal. Mia sits down on a chair. She's heard the name. Everyone has. Jin-ho is an influential man. He has great power. People talk about him quietly. Mia's friends are worried. Don't go. It's dangerous, they say. But Mia thinks differently. She feels curiosity, and she also feels that she can't refuse. If such a man sent for her, he won't take no for an answer. She goes to the closet. She doesn't have many dressy clothes. She chooses a simple blue dress. It's made of cotton. It's clean and neat. She likes it. Then she looks in the mirror. Her skin is dark and smooth. Her eyes are large. She rarely wears makeup. Today, she won't either. She just washes her face and braids her hair into a simple braid. She puts her keys and phone in her bag. She looks at the address again. She's scared, but she's made up her mind. She leaves the apartment and gets on the bus. She's going to a wealthy area of the city. She's never been there before. The bus stops far from the right place. Mia walks on foot. She sees a high wall and a large gate. It's Jin-ho's residence. There's a guard at the gate. Mia shows him the envelope. The guard silently opens the gate. There's a large garden inside. A path leads to the main building, which resembles a modern palace. Lots of glass and concrete. At the entrance, Miyu is met by a woman in a formal dress. Let's go, says the woman. She leads Mia inside. They walk down a long corridor. Then they enter a huge hall. There are already many girls in the hall, more than 10 of them. Mia stops at the door. She looks at them. All the girls are very beautiful. They wear expensive dresses. The dresses sparkle and shimmer. They all have perfect hairstyles, bright makeup, jewelry. They look like models from a picture. They talk to each other in quiet voices. They laugh. They are confident. They look at each other. Mia feels awkward. Her simple blue dress seems drab and boring here. She steps forward and stands against the wall, trying to be inconspicuous. A few minutes later, servants enter the hall. They ask the girls to stand in a line. The girls obey. They line up, each trying to take a place in the center. Mia stands at the edge. She looks at the marble floor. Then another door opens. A man enters the room. It's Jin-ho. He is wearing a dark suit. He looks stern. He is about 40 years old. His face is calm, but his eyes are attentive. He sits down in a large chair opposite the line of girls. He doesn't smile. He just looks. He slowly looks at each girl. His gaze slides over their faces, their dresses. He studies them. The girls freeze. They try to smile. They show their best side. They are sure that he will choose one of them, the most beautiful, the best dressed. Jin-ho watches silently. He doesn't single anyone out. His face is expressionless. He just watches. Mia stands at the very end of the row. She feels her palms growing clammy. She clenches them into fists and tucks them into the folds of her simple blue dress. The dress now seems too bright to her, too noticeable against the stark wall. She looks straight ahead. She sees the backs of the other girls, their expensive dresses, their perfect poses. She hears their quiet, confident breathing. One of the girls, the one standing in the center, in the red silk dress, turns her head slightly. She looks at Mia. Her gaze glides from her simple shoes to her neat braid. There's no malice in her eyes. There's a hint of disdain and great surprise. It's as if she's asking, "How did you get here?" Then she turns back, showing Mia her perfect profile. Mia feels heat on her cheeks. She lowers her eyes. She studies the pattern on the marble floor. White and gray veins form strange shapes. She thinks of only one thing. When will this end? She imagines herself leaving here, getting on the bus, and going home. She will drink tea, pick up a brush. She will forget this strange day, like a strange dream. She's sure she has no chance. Why would someone like Jin-ho choose her? She doesn't know how to dress that well. She doesn't know how to talk that well. She doesn't know the rules of his world. She's a simple artist. She draws trees and children. She doesn't know how to shine at receptions. She hears the other girls shifting positions. There's a faint rustle of expensive fabrics. They're trying to attract attention. Mia, however, simply stands there. She's not trying to change anything. She's simply waiting for her gaze to finally pass by and for her to breathe. Jin-ho rises from his chair. The room falls completely silent. Even the rustling of dresses fades. He takes the first step. He begins to walk slowly along the line of girls. His steps are quiet but distinct on the marble floor. He stops in front of the first girl. She's a tall blonde in a silver dress. She smiles broadly and confidently. Jin-ho looks at her face for a few seconds. Then his gaze drops to her dress, to her hands, and returns to her face again. He doesn't say a word. He just looks. Then he takes a step further. He passes the next three girls almost without stopping. His gaze only glides over them. Their confident smiles begin to fade. Then he stops again, in front of a girl with chestnut hair and a green velvet dress. He looks at her longer. He studies her features. The girl tries to hold herself upright, but under his long, heavy gaze, her smile becomes strained. He sees it. He turns away and continues on his way. He walks slowly, methodically. He looks each girl straight in the eye. Some hold his gaze. Some look down. He notices everything. He approaches the center of the line, where the brightest, most elegant girls stand. They freeze. They catch his every gesture. They believe that the choice is about to fall on one of them. Their eyes glow with hope. But Jin-ho doesn't stop. He passes by the girl in the red dress, who had been looking at Mia. He only gives her a short, meaningless nod. Her face is pale under the layer of foundation. He moves on, towards the end of the line. The girls he passes cannot believe their eyes. They exchange glances. They whisper. They do not understand what is happening. Jin-ho reaches the second-to-last girl, a beautiful Asian woman in pink lace. He barely glanced at her, and then he takes the last step, and stops, right in front of Mia. Everything freezes. The silence in the room becomes absolute, so thick that my ears ring. All the girls look in their direction. They look at Jin-ho, who stands in front of a simple girl in a blue cotton dress. They look at Mia, who now seems the most confused of them all. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. The girls' faces are filled with complete bewilderment, shock. They blink as if they can't believe their eyes. The girl in the red dress opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. Her eyebrows rise. The others simply stare. Their confidence, their arrogance, vanishes. Only empty surprise remains. They don't understand his choice. They see before them the most simple, the most unremarkable of them all. She has no sparkle, no bright makeup, no expensive dress. Her hair is simply braided. Why did he choose her? What's the point? Is this a mistake? A joke? Mia is also completely bewildered. She stares at Jin-H with wide eyes. She feels her heart pounding somewhere in her throat. She can't believe he stopped in front of her. She expected his gaze to simply glide past her, like a gray wall. And now he's looking right at her. His dark eyes search her face, searching for something. She wants to say something, but she can't. She just looks at him, frozen in place. The entire hall, all these beautiful girls, this luxurious palace, it all disappears. There is only this serious man and his unwavering gaze. He looks at her silently, not smiling, not frowning, just looking, as if testing his guess. Then, very slowly, the corners of his lips lift slightly. It's not a smile, more like a hint of approval, a nod to himself. Jin-ho looks at Mia for a few more seconds. Then he slowly raises his right hand. He extends it to her. His palm is open. The gesture is clear and leaves no room for doubt. His voice rings out in complete silence. It is calm and firm. There is no question in it. There is only a statement. Come with me. Mia looks at his hand. She doesn't move. Her mind refuses to comprehend. She hears one of the girls inhale sharply behind her. A whisper ripples through the room like a breeze. Jin-H doesn't remove his hand. He waits. His gaze is patient. Mia forces herself to move. Her own hand feels strange and heavy. She slowly lifts it and places her palm in his. His fingers close. His grip is not strong, but confident. He gently pulls her forward, taking her out of line. Only now does he turn to face the other girls. He glances at them with a fleeting, indifferent gaze. He nods his head slightly. You are free to go. You will be shown the way. He doesn't look at them anymore. He turns towards the exit, still holding Mia's hand. He leads her across the hall to the door he entered through. At first, nothing happens in the room. The girls stand rooted to the spot. Then a loud, indignant exhalation is heard. A noise begins. The whispers grow into a rumble of incomprehension and resentment. What is this? The girl in red hisses. He couldn't have, says another. It's a mistake, the third almost screams. Ho's servants are already approaching them, men in dark suits. They're not rude, but their faces are inscrutable. They gesture toward another exit. Please follow us. You will be taken home. Ho and the strange girl had just departed. Their faces reflect anger, contempt, and utter confusion. Jin H leads Mia down another corridor. It's shorter and narrower. The walls are wooden. They lead to a simple but massive door. He opens it and lets Mia go first. This is his office. The room is large, but almost empty. A large desk, a couple of armchairs, a sofa against the wall, a large window overlooking the garden. Nothing superfluous. Sit down, Jinho says, pointing to the sofa. Mia sits on the edge. She folds her hands in her lap. She tries to breathe evenly. She looks at him. Jinho doesn't sit at the table. He takes a seat in the armchair opposite the sofa. Between them is a low, dark wood table. He sits down, leans back, and looks at her. He's in no hurry. Mia is silent. She waits. She knows she should listen. She's nervous. Her heart is still beating fast. She feels warmth where he held her hand. Jinho looks at her carefully. He studies her now without rushing. He sees her large, dark eyes, mingled with fear and question. He sees her clear, makeup-free skin. He sees her simple blue dress. He sees how she tries to sit up straight. He begins to speak, straight from the point, without preamble. I chose you, he says clearly, because you are not afraid. He pauses briefly to make sure she's listening. You're not afraid to show your true face. You came here as you are, without a mask. Mia opens her mouth slightly, but doesn't say a word. Your beauty is natural. It's sincere. It's not painted. I've seen many beautiful faces today, but they were all fake, like pictures. You are real. He speaks calmly, but every word carries weight. The other girls hid, behind layers of makeup, behind glittery dresses, behind confident smiles. Without all of that, they would have been different. They would have been unsure. They would have been afraid. They wouldn't have dared look at me the way you did. Mia blinks. She begins to understand. You looked straight ahead. You weren't trying to please. You weren't pretending to be someone else. You simply waited. And in your eyes, I saw neither greed nor calculation. I saw calm and courage. Coming to such a place alone, just as you are, that takes courage. He pauses for a second, then continues. I'm tired of painted faces. I'm tired of people playing roles. I need a real person. Today, in this room, the only real one was you. That's why I chose you. Jinho continues speaking, his voice now a little softer. I also liked that you didn't look around. You didn't compare yourself to others. You didn't try to seem better. You just stood there and waited. That shows strength of character. He looks at her hands folded in her lap. You have a calm energy. Good energy. There was a lot of tension and calculation in this room today. You were a different person. You were like a quiet place. I need that. Mia listens to him. She still can't quite believe his words, but she hears sincerity in them. The anxiety that had been clenching her throat begins to subside little by little. His words don't sound like flattery. They're not compliments. They're a statement of fact. He's simply explaining what he saw. Instead of fear, surprise comes. She's amazed that this powerful and stern man noticed such simple things, that he attached such importance to them. She always considered her simplicity a flaw, but he saw it as a strength. She slowly looks up and meets his gaze again. This time, she looks at him not with fear, but with growing interest. Mia's thoughts are clearing up. Perhaps this really is the kind of person who sees beyond the surface, who can discern the true essence, who values sincerity more than glitz. In her world, the world of art, she always tried to be honest in her work, to show real emotions. And now, it seems, she's met someone who seeks the same authenticity in life. His choice, so unexpected for everyone, suddenly makes sense to her. He didn't choose a picture. He chose a person. She takes a deep breath, her voice quiet but clear in the quiet of the office. I'm very pleased to hear that. Thank you. She says it simply, without play, without pretense, exactly as she feels. Jinho nods slightly. He accepts her gratitude as his due, but something akin to satisfaction flickers in his eyes. His assessment seems confirmed. There's a moment of silence between them, but it's not the tense silence of anticipation anymore. It's a calm pause. They just sit. He watches. She considers. Then Mia remembers where she is and why. Nice words are good, but there needs to be a purpose behind them, something real and concrete. She takes a deep breath. She gathers her thoughts. After a pause, she finally asks the question. question, the very one that had been swirling around in her head from the very beginning. What are my tasks? Her voice trembles a little, but she keeps it under control. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Jin-ho listens to her question. His face, which had momentarily softened, becomes serious again, almost stern. He looks away from her and somewhere toward the window, as if searching for the right words. He takes a deep breath. It's clear that what he's about to say isn't easy for him. This isn't just a business assignment. It's something personal. Something important. He turns his head back to her, his eyes dark and focused again. My main task for you, he begins slowly, doesn't concern me. It concerns my son. He says these words directly, without embellishment. You need to become a mother to my son. Mia freezes. She didn't expect this. She was thinking about working as a secretary, an assistant, maybe a companion, but not this. Jin-ho sees her surprise. He continues. His voice is even, but there's a hint of weariness in it. His name is Yoon. He's 7 years old. He doesn't listen to anyone. Not nannies, not teachers. He cries all the time, screams, breaks things. He loses his temper if something doesn't go his way. He pauses for a second. He looks at his hands. It's my own fault. I spoiled him. After his mother died, I tried to give him everything. Toys, attention, indulgences. I thought it would be better that way, but I was wrong. Now he knows no boundaries. He's unhappy, and I don't know what to do. He looks up at Mia. Something needs to change urgently. Conventional methods aren't working. He looks at her intently. There's no longer the commanding sternness in his gaze. There's something else, more vulnerable. You're my last hope, he says quietly, but very clearly. I wasn't just looking for a bride. I was looking for someone who could reach him, someone who wouldn't be afraid of him, someone who wouldn't see him as a problem or as a way to gain something. He pauses, collecting his thoughts. If you can do this, if you can help him, become close to him, then I will fulfill my part of the deal. I will propose to you. I will make you my wife, and I will do everything to make you happy. You will have everything you want. Mia listens, her gaze fixed on him. She sees the tension etched into his every feature. She hears not a boss's order, but a father's plea, the despair of a man who has lost control of the most important thing in his life, who is willing to do anything to help his child, but no longer knows how. In his eyes, she sees not strength and power, but helplessness and weary hope. This changes everything. Before her is not the formidable Jin-ho everyone whispers about. Before her is simply a father who loves his son. Mia doesn't answer right away. She's thinking. She looks out the window. At the green garden beyond, she imagines a little boy, embittered, crying, surrounded by fear and indulgence. A boy who lacks not toys, but simple human warmth and understanding. She's an artist. She works with children. She knows that sometimes anger and tantrums hide pain or loneliness. She's not afraid of children, even the difficult ones. She turns to Jin-ho. She sees him waiting for her answer. He doesn't rush her. He just sits and watches, holding his breath. Finally, Mia nods slowly, her movement confident. Okay, I'll try. An expression crosses her face. It's not a joyful smile. It's the gentle, reassuring smile of someone who's taking responsibility. She speaks not as an employee, but as someone who understands the essence of the problem. I will try to help him. Jin-ho looks at her. He sees in her eyes not calculation or fear, but determination and a hint of compassion. The weight that has weighed on him for weeks seems to shift slightly. He doesn't feel complete relief. Too much unknown lies ahead, but he feels a faint glimmer of something real appearing in his world of orders and control. Something kind. He doesn't say, thank you. He simply nods again, this time confirming the deal. His face doesn't change, but the corners of his eyes begin to crease slightly, the first signs of relaxation. You'll start tomorrow, he says simply, and the familiar firmness returns to his voice. But now it sounds different. There's a quiet agreement between them now. The next day, at precisely 10 in the morning, Mia is escorted to the east wing of the residence. This is the children's section of the house. There's a thick carpet on the floor, light-colored walls, and shelves filled with books and toys. But the air in these rooms feels stale, filled with a silence that no one dares to disturb. A boy stands in the center of the playroom. He's dressed in an expensive suit, but his shirt is hanging loose and his hair is disheveled. It's Yoon. He has dark eyes like his father, but now they gleam with a disgruntled, defiant glint. He's clutching an expensive model race car. Next to him, at a respectful distance, stand two women in formal dresses, nannies. Their faces express caution and weariness. When Mia enters, everyone looks at her, the nannies with hope and doubt, Yoon with open hostility. This is the new governess, young master, one of the nannies says quietly. Yoon doesn't answer. He looks Mia over from head to toe. His gaze glides over her simple clothes. Today she's wearing a white blouse and dark trousers. His eyes narrow. He's used to the adults around him, either being afraid of him or flattering him, trying to please him. He expects this new woman to smile, to ingratiate herself, to to offer him candy or a toy. But Mia does neither. She doesn't look scared. She doesn't smile a forced smile. She simply stands and looks at him with a calm, open gaze. She bows to him as if he were an adult. "Hello, Yoon. My name is Mia. I came to meet you." Her voice is even and kind, but there's no servility in it. Yoon frowns. This isn't according to the script. "Go away," he says sharply, turning away. "I didn't invite you. I don't need another nanny." One of the nannies makes a startled movement, ready to intervene, but Mia stops her with a gentle wave of her hand. She doesn't back down. "I understand," she says just as calmly. "New people are always strange. I won't disturb you. Can I just sit here, off to the side? I'm curious what you're playing." She doesn't wait for permission. She gently pulls out a chair against the wall and sits down. She doesn't stare at him. She looks at the shelves of toys, at the books, at the large puzzle assembled on a separate table. She acts as if she's just a guest who's here for a short while. Yoon stands, holding the typewriter. He was preparing for a scene, for tears, for someone to persuade him. But this woman simply sat down. His anger meets emptiness. He glances at her furtively. She sits calmly, her hands resting on her lap. She doesn't fidget. Several long minutes pass. Yoon throws the typewriter on the floor with a clatter. The nannies flinch. Mia only turns her head slightly in his direction, but doesn't comment. "I'm sick of this," he shouts. "All our toys are stupid." "What toy wouldn't be stupid?" Mia asks calmly, without getting up from her chair. Yoon looks at her, surprised by the question. "I don't have one," he declares defiantly. "Tell me about her. What does she look like? What can she do?" Mia looks at him with genuine interest, not like an adult looking at a capricious child, but like someone who wants to hear an answer. Yoon thinks for a moment. Then he begins to speak. At first, reluctantly, abruptly, he describes a non-existent supermachine that can fly, swim, and fire missiles. His story is jumbled, full of emotion. Mia listens. She doesn't interrupt. She nods. Sometimes she asks clarifying questions. What color would her headlights be? Could she hide like a chameleon? Her questions aren't judgmental. They're an extension of his imagination. Yoon gradually becomes captivated. He begins to talk more. His voice loses its shrill edge. He even moves a little closer, gesturing. Mia is still sitting, but now she's looking straight at him, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest. She's not telling him it's impossible or stupid. She's simply listening to his world. Then she notices an album and a box of pencils on the table. "Oh, can I show you what such a car might look like?" she asks. "I can draw a little." Yoon hesitates, then nods. He comes very close. Mia picks up a pencil. She's not drawing a masterpiece. She's making a quick, light sketch. It's not a precise drawing. It's an image, an embodiment of his words. A car with wings, a propeller, and comically huge headlights. She draws with a smile. Yoon watches, mesmerized, his mouth slightly open. "Like this?" Mia asks, handing him the drawing. He takes the piece of paper. He looks at it, and something new appears on his face, so sullen and dissatisfied just an hour ago. First uncertainty, then surprise, and then pure, genuine joy. His lips stretch into a wide, slightly awkward smile. "Yes," he says loudly. "Almost like that? Can you draw it again, but with bigger rockets?" From that moment on, something clicks. Yoon forgets his intention to be unbearable. He drags Mia by the hand to the shelves, pointing out other toys and commenting on them. He talks nonstop, as if a faucet had been turned on. He tells everything, what he likes, what he doesn't, what happened in kindergarten a week ago, what story they read him yesterday. Mia follows him. She listens. She laughs at his funny remarks. She asks questions. She doesn't blindly indulge him. When he demands to find paint immediately to color the picture, she says, "Let's first carefully put the pencils back, and then we'll look for paint together." And to the nanny's amazement, he obeys. Not immediately, a little pouting, but he does as she says. When Mia needs to go to the bathroom, she calmly tells him so. Yoon grabs her hand. "Will you come back?" His voice holds not whimsy, but genuine concern. "Of course I will. We haven't finished painting the tank for your landing party," she replies simply. He reluctantly lets go of her hand and stands there, waiting for her to leave the room. He doesn't cry, doesn't shout. He waits. When she returns, he grabs her hand again and doesn't let go. They go to the paint shop together. They paint together. He becomes her shadow. He repeats her words. He asks her opinion on everything. Ho stands in the doorway of the playroom, hidden by the shadows of the hallway. He's been watching for 20 minutes. He sees his son, who an hour ago would have thrown a book at the nanny, now sitting quietly at the table, intently brushing his brush across the paper. He hears his laughter, not hysterical, but genuine, ringing. He sees the boy looking at Mia, and there's no malice or manipulation in his eyes. There's trust and interest there. Jin-ho doesn't move. He just watches. Something in his chest tightens and then releases. He sees a miracle he never expected to see. He sees his son finally just a child. He looks away, takes a deep breath, and quietly leaves, lest his presence disturb this new, fragile, and cherished vision. That evening, Jin-ho is sitting in his office. He's looking through documents, but his mind is elsewhere. He keeps recalling the image from the playroom, Mia's calm face and his son's rapt expression. Suddenly, the door opens. Yoon appears in the doorway. He's already in his pajamas, his hair damp from his recent bath. He stands uncertainly, clutching a teddy bear. Jin-ho puts the papers aside. He looks at his son, expecting the usual complaints or demands. Maybe he wants to play some more, or doesn't want to sleep. Yoon takes a few steps forward. He comes right up to his father. He looks at him with his large, now clear eyes. Then, suddenly, he hugs Jin-ho around the neck. It's not a sudden, capricious, childish embrace. It's a soft, sincere hug. Jin-H freezes. He can't remember the last time his son hugged him just like that. Not to beg for something, but simply because he wanted to. Yoon presses his cheek against his shoulder and speaks. His voice is quiet, but very clear. Dad, thank you for finding her. Jin-ho doesn't breathe. These words hang in the silence of the office. Yoon pulls back and looks his father in the face. His expression is serious and mature. She's wonderful. She draws funny pictures, and she listens to me. Really listens. He pauses, as if considering something very important. I'm glad she's here now. Jin-ho is at a loss for words. He simply places his large hand on his son's head, gently touching his hair. He feels his throat tighten. Yoon never thanked him. Not for the enormous railroad, not for the pony, not for the trip to the sea. Gifts were taken for granted, and more often than not, with a whim that they weren't quite right or just right. And now, he's thanking him for a person, for a simple woman who came and, in one day, accomplished what had eluded him for years. Ha finally says, his voice sounding a little hoarse, "Very glad." Yoon smiles at him, a genuine, bright smile, and runs out of the office, probably to go to bed. Jin-ho sits motionless for a long time, staring into space, feeling the warmth of that childish embrace, and hearing those simple, life-changing words in his ears. The days go by. Mia is now a permanent fixture in the house. She arrives in the morning and leaves late at night. Sometimes she stays overnight in the guest room if Yoon is too tired and falls asleep holding her hand. The boy is changing. It's not an instant miracle, but a gradual, lasting transformation. His tantrums are becoming less frequent. When something goes wrong, he no longer throws a tantrum with screams and throwing objects. At first, he pouts and frowns, but Mia doesn't rush to calm him down or persuade him. She calmly says, "I see you're upset. Let's try this differently," or "Think about how we can fix this." And Yoon's anger, not met with the usual resistance or fear, quickly fades, replaced by a search for a solution. He becomes kind. He begins to notice others. One day, he brings a cup of tea to the nanny, who is coughing. Another time, he shares cookies with the driver. His laughter now often echoes throughout the rooms. Not hysterical, but ringing, joyful. He asks a lot of questions. He's interested in why it rains, how comics are drawn, what Dad does at work. Jin-ho now often finds excuses to pass by the children's part of the house. Sometimes he peeks into the playroom. He never goes inside, never intrudes on their space. He simply stands in the doorway or in the shadows of the hallway and watches. He sees them making funny monsters out of Play-Doh, both covered in colorful spots. He sees Maya showing Yoon simple card tricks, and the boy squeals with delight. He sees them setting up a puzzle on the floor together, their heads bowed close together, in complete concentration. He sees how his son, that little uncontrollable hurricane, now listens when something is explained to him, how he tries, how he reaches out to Mia, not only for entertainment, but also for comfort, for advice, just to be there. Warmth and life have settled into his home, which had always been quiet, cold, and stern. It's one of those evenings. Jin-ho returns late from a meeting. The house is quiet. He takes off his jacket and, out of habit, heads to the east wing. He just wants to see if everything is all right. The door to the living room, adjacent to the playroom, is ajar. A soft, even voice comes from there. Mia's voice. She's reading something. Jin-ho stops in the doorway, remaining invisible. The room is dimly lit. Only a floor lamp and a small moon-shaped nightlight are on. Mia is sitting on the large sofa, holding a book with brightly colored pictures. Next to her, his whole body pressed against her side, sits Yoon. His head rests on her shoulder. He is almost asleep. His eyes are half closed, his eyelashes casting shadows on his cheeks. One of his hands rests trustingly on the sleeve of Mia's sweater. Mia reads slowly, with expression. Sometimes she points at a picture, and Yoon nods without opening his eyes. His breathing is even and calm. He is completely relaxed. He feels completely safe. The atmosphere in the room is so dense, so warm and peaceful, you can almost touch it. It's a picture of absolute harmony, absolute trust, absolute family. Jin-ho looks at them. He sees his son, who used to fall asleep only in tears from exhaustion after an hour of screaming, now falling asleep with peace on his face, snuggled up to the person he's become so close to. He sees the soft light on both their faces. He sees Mia's arm resting on the back of the sofa, almost hugging the boy. And suddenly, something tightens inside him. A hot, tight lump forms in his throat. His eyes begin to burn unbearably. He feels tears streaming down his cheeks. Despite all his efforts, all his control, they are hot and fast. He doesn't cry. He simply stands, and the tears flow of their own accord, quietly and uncontrollably. These are tears of relief he no longer expected. Tears of gratitude he can't express. Tears because he sees the very picture he was afraid to even dream of. A happy, peaceful son, and the woman who gave him this happiness. He quickly, abruptly turns away. He wipes his face with his palms and takes a deep, ragged breath. He can't allow himself to do this, but he can't tear himself away. He glances again through the crack in the door at the two figures on the sofa, and again feels that same overwhelming surge of emotion. There had never been such harmony in his home. Even when his wife was alive, there were always worries, chores, tension, and now, in this quiet room, there was a whole world. A world built by this woman with a simple face and calm hands. He quickly and silently walked down the hallway, leaving behind silence, warmth, and light, realizing that he had found more than just a helpmate for his son. He had found the most important thing. Once trust is established, Mia begins to gently introduce rules into their interactions. She does this not as a strict teacher, but as an older friend who knows how the world works. She starts small. For example, with cleaning up the toys. Previously, Yoon, after playing for a while, would simply drop everything on the floor and leave. Now Mia says calmly, "Our workday in this room is over. Let's help the soldiers and cars get back to their barracks and garages so they can rest." And she begins putting the blocks back in the box first. Yoon watches at first. Then, seeing that she's not going to do it for him, reluctantly joins in. After a few days, he's doing it himself, without reminders, because it's become part of the end-of-game ritual. She teaches him simple words: thank you, please, sorry. She doesn't lecture. When he asks for something, she simply looks at him and waits. He quickly understands and adds, "Please give me the red pencil." When she hands him something, he now automatically says, "Thank you." If he accidentally bumps her, he immediately looks at her and says, "Sorry, it was an accident." She always smiles and says, "It's okay." She talks to him about his feelings. When he's angry, she doesn't tell him not to be angry. She says, "I understand you're angry. It's normal. Let's breathe together, and then we'll figure out what to do." She teaches him to recognize his emotions and manage them, rather than just explode. She delegates small tasks to him, watering a single flower on the windowsill, laying out napkins on the table before dinner, carrying his cup to the kitchen. He carries them out with incredible seriousness, as if they were the most important task in the world. For him, it's proof that he's grown up, that he's trusted. Yoon listens to her with astonishing concentration. He hangs on her every word. Her approval, her calm smile, is important to him. He begins to imitate her not only in her actions, but also in her manner of speech and intonation. She becomes his primary role model. The transformation is becoming more and more noticeable. Now it's visible not only in games, but also in everyday life. One day, Yoon trips while out for a walk and badly scrapes his knee. Once, his deafening roar would have echoed throughout the garden, demanding the world's immediate attention. Now, his face contorts in pain, his eyes fill with tears. He clutches his knee. Mia comes over immediately and squats down in front of him. She doesn't fuss, doesn't scream. "Ouch!" she calmly says. "Oh, that hurts. Let me see." Yoon nods, gritting his teeth. Tears roll down his cheeks, but he doesn't scream. He simply breathes heavily, gulping for air. He allows her to examine the scrape, whimpering softly. "Well done," Mia says, cleaning the wound. "You're very brave. It hurts, but you endure it." And pride appears in his eyes, through the tears. He's not crying. He endures. He begins to let her go first through the door. Clumsily at first, blocking the way, but with an air of importance. "Please come in, Mia." He says this, trying to keep his voice low, like a grown man. He doesn't just say thank you. He looks for excuses to say it. "Thank you for breakfast. Thank you for the new story. Thank you for helping me find my sock." He says it with eye contact. He tries to behave civilly, as he calls it. He doesn't wave his arms at the table. He places his napkin on his lap. He chews with his mouth closed. He constantly looks at Mia, seeking confirmation in her gaze that he's doing everything right. And when she nods or smiles, his face lights up with such joy, as if he's received the most precious award. He becomes attentive. He notices when Mia looks tired and invites her to sit. He brings her a glass of water when she's working on a drawing with him. He transforms from a capricious child into a little gentleman, driven not by fear, but by a desire to please the woman he now considers the most important person in his life. A month passes. One evening, After Yoon falls asleep, a servant delivers an invitation to Mia from Jin-ho. He is asked to go to the small dining room, not the study. The table is set for two. The lighting is dim, the food simple but exquisite. Jin-ho is already waiting for her. He gestures for her to sit opposite him. They dine almost in silence. The conversation revolves around neutral matters, the weather, how Yoon spent his day. But the atmosphere is not tense. It's calm. As dessert is being taken away, Jin-ho pushes his glass of water away. He folds his hands on the table and looks at Mia. His gaze is direct, appraising, but lacking the previous cold detachment. A month has passed, he begins. I want to tell you something. Mia places the napkin next to her plate and listens attentively. You've exceeded all my expectations, he says clearly, without exaggeration. Everything I hope to see. And more. He pauses, choosing his words. My son has become a different person. I watch him every day. He hasn't just stopped being capricious. He has changed inside. He has become kind, responsible. He thinks about others. He is learning to control himself. I didn't believe before that this was possible so quickly. He looks at her, and there is deep, genuine gratitude in his eyes. I know it's all down to you. Your approach, your patience, your sincerity. You didn't try to break him or subdue him. You taught him to be better. And he listens to you because he senses that you see him as a person, not a problem. He leans back in his chair. I gave you the most difficult task. You handled it brilliantly, better than anyone could have imagined. Jin-ho looks at Mia. His office is quiet. His words hang in the air. I don't regret my choice, he says again, and there's not a shadow of doubt in his voice. Not for a second. What you've done this month is priceless. It's more important than any deal. He pauses briefly. His gaze becomes slightly distant, as if he's remembering that day in the hall. Those girls, the others, they only knew how to paint a face. To create a beautiful picture for the world. They didn't understand that I wasn't looking for a picture. I was looking for a person. Real, strong, kind. He looks straight at Mia. His eyes are clear. But you know something else. You know how to change hearts. You changed my son's heart. You melted the ice in him and showed him how to be happy, how to be good. It's a rare gift, Mia. Very rare. He doesn't say this as a compliment. He says it as a statement of fact. He's assessing the results of her work, and the results are excellent. I watched. I saw how you talk to him. You don't lie to him. You don't play. You are real with him. And he feels it. He responds in kind. He has become real. Thank you for that. He speaks the last words a little quieter, but very clearly. Thank you from Jin-ho sounds like the highest reward. 2 days pass. Mia spends them as usual, with Yoon, playing, doing homework, and going for walks. Nothing foreshadows change. On the evening of the second day, one of the maids came to her guest room. In her hands, the woman was holding a long, thick cardboard box tied with a silk ribbon. Mr. Jin-ho asked me to give you this, the maid says, placing the box on the bed. And he asks you to wear it. They'll come for you in an hour. The maid leaves. Mia looks at the box. She slowly unties the ribbon and opens the lid. Inside is a dress. It's unlike the luxurious gowns the girls wore on selection day. This dress is elegant and simple. It's ivory. The fabric is soft and expensive, but without glitter or rhinestones. The style is modest but impeccably tailored. It's paired with a lightweight shawl of the same fabric. Mia picks up the dress. She understands that it was chosen with her taste in mind. It's beautiful, but not pretentious. It will highlight her naturalness, not hide it. She takes a shower and gets dressed. The dress fits her perfectly, as if it were tailored. She doesn't wear jewelry. She just carefully braids her hair into a more complex but still modest hairstyle. Exactly an hour later, there was a knock on the door. It wasn't a servant who came, but Kim himself, Jin-ho's senior assistant. Please come in, Miss Mia, he says, with a respectful bow. He leads her not to the exit, but to an elevator deep within the residence. They go inside. Kim presses the button for the top floor. The elevator rises smoothly. Mia is silent. Kim is silent too. She doesn't know where they're taking her, but she trusts. The elevator stops. The doors slide silently open. Ahead of them is another door, a glass one. Kim opens it and lets Mia in first. They're waiting for you, he says, and steps back. Mia steps forward. She emerges onto a vast open-air terrace. It's the flat roof of the skyscraper that Jin-ho's residence is part of. And here, in the center of the empty terrace, stands Jin-ho. Mia stops, mesmerized. The view from here is breathtaking. The entire city lies before us, but now it doesn't feel distant or cold. The sun is setting somewhere below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery colors. Orange, pink, purple. These colors are reflected in the glass of thousands of skyscraper windows, and it seems as if the entire city is ablaze with a soft, warm light. The bustle of the day subsides, and the first lights of the evening illuminations appear. It's a spectacle at once grand and tranquil. In the center of the terrace, at the best vantage point, a small table for two is set. It's decorated with fine china, crystal glasses, and exquisite appetizers. Dozens of candles in tall, transparent shades burn along the edge of the terrace and around the table. They flicker in the gathering dusk, creating an intimate, almost magical circle of light. A gentle breeze carries the subtle scent of flowers, perhaps from some potted plants hidden in the darkness. Jin H stands by the railing, his back to the city. He's wearing a dark, perfectly tailored suit, but no tie. He looks at her. He seems different. Not a boss, not a stern father, just a man. In the light of the sunset and candles, his features seem softer. Mia's heart skips a beat, not from fear, from a premonition of something enormous and momentous. This whole appearance, this setting, this outfit, his anticipation, all of it suggests that something is about to happen that will change everything. She slowly takes a few steps toward him, toward the candlelight, toward the set table, toward this man who is looking at her with such a deep, unfamiliar expression. Mia approaches Jin Ho. He meets her gaze. The wind is light at this height, gently stirring the edges of her shawl and his hair. The sounds of the city don't reach here, only silence and a distant hum. He extends his hand to her. Mia, without thinking, puts her palm in his. His fingers close around her wrist. His hand is warm and firm. He leads her to the edge of the terrace, to the railing, where the best view opens. They stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, watching the sunset. He is silent for a few moments. Then he begins to speak. His voice is quiet, but very clear in the evening silence. Mia, he says, you've only been living in my house for a month, but it feels like the light came here with you. He looks at the city, not at her, but his words are directed directly at her. I didn't order this dinner to thank you. I want to tell you something I haven't said before. You changed everything. You changed Yoon. You gave me my son back. The boy I was afraid I'd lose forever. Now he turns his head and looks at her, the last rays of the sun reflected in his eyes. But that's not all. You've changed this house too. There's warmth in it now. There's laughter. There are quiet evenings. Before, these were just walls. Now, this is a home. He pauses, his hand squeezing hers lightly. And you've changed me. I look at you and my son, and I realize that everything I ever achieved before is nothing compared to what I see now. You've taught me to see what's most important again. Mia listens. She feels a lump in her throat. She sees how serious his face is. She understands that every word is difficult for him. He is not used to talking about feelings. Jin H lets go of her hand. He takes a small step back. Then, smoothly and without hesitation, he drops to one knee right in front of her on the stone floor of the terrace. Mia's heart skips a beat. The whole world narrows to this place, to this man on his knees, to the flickering candles around him. He looks up at her. A small dark velvet box appears in his hand. He opens it slowly. Inside, on black velvet, lies a ring. It's not huge, not flashy. It's an elegant ring with a single, large, but very clear, square-cut diamond. The stone doesn't sparkle. It catches the last light of the sunset and glows from within with a calm, deep radiance. It's beautiful, and it's like her, elegant, genuine, without unnecessary pretentiousness. Jin Ho holds the box. He looks her straight in the eyes. There's no longer a hint of the boss's sternness or detachment in his gaze. There's only pure, focused seriousness and hope, and something else, deeper and warmer, that makes her heart beat faster. Mia, he says again, his voice a little deeper, a little quieter. Be my wife. Give me the chance to make you happy. Let us be a family, a real family, forever. He doesn't say this as a command. He asks. In this powerful man, kneeling before a simple artist, at this moment, there is nothing but a sincere request and an open heart. Mia looks at him. She looks at the ring. She looks at the city, fading into twilight behind him. She remembers everything, that terrible and strange day in the hall, his choice, Yoon's frightened eyes, who now laughs and hugs her, quiet evenings, their shared drawings, his first thank you and please, Jin Ho's tears, which he tried to hide. Ho before her. She sees a man, tired, strong, gentle, someone who loves his son more than life itself, someone who saw something genuine in her and entrusted her with what was most precious to him. She feels neither fear nor doubt. She feels a vast, overwhelming wave of warmth and gratitude, and something else, something deep and lasting, something that has grown over this month, quietly, like a sprout. Her eyes fill with tears. They are not tears of sadness. These are tears of such bright, such complete happiness that it cannot be contained within. It bursts forth. Tears roll down her cheeks, one after another, but she doesn't even try to brush them away. Ho's eyes as he looks at her. He's waiting. He's frozen. And then Mia smiles. It's the widest, brightest, most genuine smile. It's through tears, but it shines like the sun. She extends her trembling hand to him. Yes, she says. Her voice is quiet, hoarse from tears, but very, very clear. Yes, Jin Ho. I will be your wife. The word yes rings in the evening air like the most beautiful sound. Ho's face changes. The tension lifts from him like a heavy weight. His stern features soften. His eyes flash with a bright relief and joy she's never seen before. The corners of his lips lift in a genuine, undisguised smile. It changes his entire face. He looks younger, happier. He takes the ring from the box. His hands, usually so confident, tremble slightly. He takes her hand and slowly, carefully, places the ring on her ring finger. It fits perfectly. He rises from his knees. He still holds her hand. He looks at the ring on her finger, then looks up at her again. He says nothing more. He simply hugs her, tightly and carefully. He presses her to him, and she feels his heartbeat, fast and strong. She hugs him back, burying her face in his shoulder. She cries and laughs at the same time. He silently strokes her back, and there is so much tenderness in this gesture that the tears only increase. They stand there, embracing, on top of the world, under the darkening sky, in a circle of candlelight, and it seems as if the entire city below has frozen so as not to disturb this moment. They take their time. They stand in an embrace until the last streak of sunset fades on the horizon, and the sky turns deep blue, dotted with the first brightest stars. Then Jin-ho takes her hand and leads her to the table. They sit down. Now there is no tension between them, no awkwardness. There is a quiet, deep joy and understanding. They dine. They speak little. Occasionally their eyes meet, and they both smile, hers with traces of happiness still in her eyes, his with an unusual but genuine softness. He pours her a glass of sparkling juice. They clink glasses, the sound of the crystal rings clear and festive. He tells her how he chose the ring, how he wanted it to be like her, simple, but with an inner light. She looks at the stone, sparkling in the candlelight, and feels like it's the most beautiful gift she's ever given. Then he gestures to someone standing at the elevator entrance. A few minutes later, the door opens, and Yoon runs out onto the terrace. He's dressed in his best pajamas, his eyes shining with excitement. The nanny follows him, staying to the side. Yoon runs up to the table. He looks from his father to Mia. He notices the ring on her finger. His face lights up with such bright, uncontrollable joy that he feels like he's about to fly. "Does that mean yes?" he shouts, unable to contain himself. Jin-ho nods, smiling. "Yes, son. That means yes." Then Yoon lets out a victorious cry and rushes toward them. He hugs first Mia around the neck, then his father, then Mia again. He laughs. He jumps on the spot. "I knew it! I wanted it so much. Now you will stay with us forever. Now you are my mother." The word mom, spoken so naturally and joyfully, brings a fresh wave of tears to Mia's eyes. She hugs him tightly. "Yes, darling, forever." Jin-ho looks at them. He looks at the woman holding his son, at the ring on her hand, at their happy faces. He feels something he hasn't felt in years. Wholeness, peace, completeness. Yoon settles himself between them, and the three of them sit together, looking at the stars. A boy without he chatters incessantly about what the wedding will be like, whether there will be a cake, whether he can be the ring bearer. They answer him, laughing. Now they are a family, not by agreement, not by calculation, by love that grew from trust, from care, from shared days and quiet evenings. In just a month, they have gone from strangers to the closest thing anyone could have, and it's just beginning. Their wedding is in 2 months. It's a discreet affair with hundreds of guests. Jin-ho is organizing everything quietly and tastefully. The ceremony is taking place in a small but incredibly beautiful chapel at their residence. Only Jin-ho's closest and most trusted friends are invited, as well as a few of Mia's friends she's found and trusted. Mia doesn't choose a puffy gown with a long train. Hers is as elegant and simple as the one she wore to the proposal. It's cream-colored, with long sleeves and soft pleats. She wears fresh flowers in her hair, not a diamond tiara. She looks like herself, only on the happiest day of her life. The most important person at this wedding, after the bride and groom, is Yoon. He is both the best man and the groomsman. He is dressed in a perfect little suit, exactly like Jin-ho's. His face glows with importance and happiness. He carries the velvet cushion with the wedding rings solemnly, as if the fate of the world depended on it. He walks slowly and deliberately, never taking his eyes off Mia. As the rings are being placed, Yoon stands nearby and looks at Mia with such boundless pride and love that many guests are moved to tears. He's not just watching. He feels part of this moment, part of creating his family. After the ceremony, there's a small reception in the garden. Everything is beautiful, expensive, yet intimate. Yoon doesn't leave Mia's side for a second. He holds her hand and introduces himself to everyone. "This is my new mother." There's no hesitation in his voice. There's only joy. Jin-ho watches them, and his usual reserve melts away today. He allows himself to smile. He places his hand on his son's shoulder and the other on his wife's. It's a simple picture, but for him, it embodies everything he could have dreamed of. After the wedding, life at the residence changes completely. Mia is no longer a guest. She's the hostess. She doesn't try to change everything to suit her own tastes, but her presence changes the atmosphere. In the mornings, the three of them have breakfast together on the bright veranda. Previously, Jin-ho would eat breakfast alone with documents, and Yoon would be in his room, acting up. Now they are together. They discuss their plans for the day. Yoon tells them what he wants to draw. Jin-ho sometimes shares neutral news. These are just conversations, simple and warm. Yoon's laughter, which now sounds frequently, Mia's quiet laughter, even Jin-ho's restrained smile now appears on his face much more often. In the evenings, they might simply sit in the living room. Mia reads a book. Yoon draws or builds a construction set at her feet. Jin-ho looks through papers in his chair, but his gaze often wanders from the documents to rest on them. On his family, the strict rules and iron discipline for which Jin-ho is famous remain outside the threshold of their private chambers. Here, in these rooms, mutual respect reigns. Jin-ho's respect for Mia's quiet strength, Mia's respect for his responsibility, and for the love for his son that he hid behind his strictness. Yoon's respect for both of them. Mia fits seamlessly into the rhythm of the home. She doesn't interfere with Jin-ho's affairs. But when it comes to raising Yoon, the household and the atmosphere, her word now carries weight, and Jin-ho listens to her because he sees the results. Time passes. Not months, but years. They become a real family, strong and loving. Jin-ho is changing. He's not becoming a different person in business. Outside the home, he's still calculating, precise and strict. But inside, he's shedding that armor. He's become softer. He speaks more often. He's interested not only in Yoon's academic progress, but also in his drawings and his thoughts. He's become happier. A calm has appeared in his eyes that wasn't there before. He knows his home is a fortress, not a cold and empty one, but one filled with warmth and life. Yoon is growing up. He's no longer a little boy, but a teenager. But he remains kind and strong. He's a good student. He has friends. He treats people with respect. He opens doors not only for Mia, but for others as well. He says please and thank you automatically. He's brave and fair. He combines the best of his father's traits, willpower, with Mia's best traits, kindness and sincerity. He adores his mother and is proud of his father. And Mia, every morning, waking up in her large, bright bedroom next to her husband, hearing their son getting ready for school in the next room, she thinks of one thing. She thinks of the day she was brought to this house in a simple blue dress, full of fear and confusion. She remembers Jin-ho's stern gaze in that huge hall, and her certainty that she had no chance. And every time, she feels a quiet, deep wave of gratitude for that strange, inexplicable choice. That choice became the best event in her life. She didn't find wealth or luxury. She found a home, a real home, where she is loved and appreciated for who she is. And she found love, the love of a husband who saw the real her, and the love of a son who accepted her with all his heart. She looks out the window at the well-kept garden, at the sun that illuminates their house, and smiles. She is happy, simple and perfect. Everything worked out, exactly as it was supposed to.